Hi everyone, welcome to week 6 of distance learning. We are going to be talking about circumference and area of a circle. As you can see, we do have some definition terms. You can take a second to type and write those in, and you can go through and pause the video. So I'll give you a couple moments to do that. All right, I hope that you're back. So a circle is a closed two-dimension 2D shape, and it's made obviously by a curve that goes around the center point. The radius is the distance from the center point to the outside. The diameter goes the whole way across, and one thing you might want to write down is that the diameter is equal to 2 times the radius, or the radius is the diameter cut in half. All right, so that's kind of a thing that you can write there just as a reminder. I'm sure you all remember that from elementary school. Circumference is the distance or the perimeter around the circle. Pi is that Greek symbol that we're going to use to represent 3.14, and we're not going to use the pi button on our calculators. We're going to use 3.14, and the area is the amount inside of the circle. All right, let's start here with the circumference. So the circumference of the circle is also known as kind of like the perimeter of the circle. All right, so you're going around the circle. And the most common formula you're going to see is 2 pi r, where pi is 3.14 and r is the radius. Another formula you can use, so this is one of them, another formula you can use is you can use circumference is diameter times pi. Okay, that's another one because 2 times the radius is the same thing as the diameter. So the diameter is equal to 2 times the radius. That's why. So you can choose either of these two. All right, so looking at the first one, they gave me the radius. So since they gave me the radius, I'm probably going to use the circumference equals 2 pi r. So 2 times 3.14 times 5.1. So I'm going to go into my calculator, multiply all those together. 2 times 3.14 times 5.1. gives me fairly long decimal, 32.028 inches. Okay, and they might have you round in the IXL. So if, and this one says round to the nearest tenth, so I'm actually not even going to circle that. So round to the nearest hundredth is 2 decimal places. Okay, so that means the 8 is going to round the 2 up to a 3. So my final answer is going to be 32.03 inches. All right. Next one, they gave me the diameter. So since they gave me the diameter, I can figure out what the radius is, but actually instead, I'm just going to use diameter times pi. Okay, so that's going to give me 170 times 3.14. And that gives me an answer of 533.8 meters. So since it says round to the nearest hundredth, you can put an extra 0 at the bottom or you don't have to. All right. These are working backwards. So working backwards, they gave us the circumference and they want us to find the diameter and the radius. So the circumference formula I'm going to use is diameter times pi. So I'm going to fill in that the circumference is 70 and that pi is 3.14. So what I have to do is I have to divide both sides by 3.14. Cancels, gives me the diameter. So 70 divided by 3.14 is a really, really long number. And they want me to round to the nearest hundredth. So that's 2 decimal places. So it's going to be 22.29. Okay, so that's my diameter, 22.29 inches. And then to find the radius, what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide the diameter by 2. So the radius is 22.29 divided by 2. And that's going to give me 11.1, we'll say rounded 5, 11.15 inches. Another way that you can do it that some kids like to do, I know my Math 7ers like to do this, is they actually just took the circumference. They first just divided that number by 3.14. So you take 500, you divide by 3.14. That ends up giving me the diameter. So when you divide the circumference by 3.14, you get 159.24. Okay, so that's my diameter. So you divide by 3.14. And then you take 159.24 and you divide by 2. And that's going to give me my radius, 79.62. And these are both km for their labeling. All right, for the next one, we're talking about area. So there's only one formula for area, and it's pi r squared. Okay, where pi is 3.14 and r is the radius. So you can't use the diameter at all for this one. You can only use the radius. So we're going to find the area here. So area is pi r squared. So 3.14 times 5.1 squared. So you can put that in your calculator as long as you know where the squared button is, or what you could put in your calculator is 3.14 times 5.1 times 5.1. Okay, so the squared button though, that's the x squared button in your calculator. That will square it for you. 5.1 times 5.1. So that's going to give me an area rounded to the nearest hundredth is 81.67 inches squared. All right, number 2, they gave me the diameter. So since they gave me the diameter, I have to cut that in half to figure out what the radius is, because I need the radius for this formula. So my radius is 85. So area is pi r squared. So 3.14 times 85 squared. 3.14 times 85 squared gives me a big number of 22,686.5. So 22,686.5 meters squared. Now, working backwards with these problems is not as easy as just dividing. So working backwards for these problems, you have to use the area formula and you have to find the radius first. So area equals pi r squared. So 72 equals 3.14 r squared. Divide by 3.14. Okay. So I'm going to go in my calculator. 72 divided by 3.14 gives me this crazy decimal. It's 22. Write as much out as I can. 22.9299, so on, equals r squared. But I don't want r squared. I want r. So I have to take the square root of both sides. So in your calculator, you have to hit the second button and then the x squared button. That's how you take the square root. So if I hit second x squared and I type in that decimal, 22.9299, it gives me approximately, and we're rounding to the nearest hundredth, gives me a radius of approximately 4.79. So 4.79 inches. And then I would multiply that by 2 to find out what the diameter is. So 4.79 times 2 is going to give me 9.58 inches. All right, so let's look at the next one. So I'm going to take my formula, which is area equals pi r squared. 32 equals 3.14 r squared. Divide by 3.14. Divide by 3.14. 32 divided by 3.14. It's going to give me a big decimal. Okay, that decimal is 10.1910828 equals r squared. Then I have to take the square root of both sides. Remember, to take the square root, you're hitting the second button, then the x squared button. You can also type that into Google. You can hit square root and then the decimal, and it gives it to you. All right, so I'm going to hit second square root. And this is going to give me that radius is equal to 3.19. So that's what my radius is. It's 3.19 yards. And then multiply that times 2. 3.19 times 2 gives me 6.38 yards. Okay. All right. So for your week this week, so you have the notes to complete, and then you have the live team meeting that we're going to do together in a few moments, and then you have 2 IXLs that you're going to complete. The first one is your area, so area equals pi r squared. Okay. Second one, so that's what you're going to be using for this one. Second one is circumference, and you can choose to use diameter times pi, or you can use circumference is 2 pi r. All right, and I have those written down for you. So you have 2 IXLs to complete instead of a homework assignment. So this week you have, if I go over here, you have notes to complete. You have the guided practice with me, the live meeting guided practice. And then instead of a homework, you have IXL 1 and IXL number 2. All right, I'll see you guys very soon. Bye.